here to share more than the stories or the investigations. It's more about the practice of a lifestyle that is beyond or separated and free from societal necessities. So first we're gonna introduce a little bit how this comes to our lives, and maybe you can feel something from that point. As the same as you and as every being in this planet, a certain part of our lives, I think in different ways, everyone, but we wander to experience the state of joy in a permanent way. We wish to realize ourselves. To reach a personal realization, you can live this life in a joy way. So through that, traveling, experiencing personally, and allowing to learn more, we start following internal messages that lead us to stop eating meat at a certain age, that then we become vegetarians and vegans for a lot of time. And then we become raw foodists, and until a certain time, through this experience, with the advancing of this separation from the necessities, we start understanding that there are other sources of energy and sustenance to it. So that personally lead me to ask for that, for what is that really sustain me, what is that really give me life, what I'm here, what is my physical body and my soul sustained for. So then the concept of living by light appears to our lives. We read some books about the capacity to live without the necessity of food. And during this transition, we naturally remember that that's possible. So one day, we choose to experience the 21-day Ethereum process. I don't know if you maybe hear about that process. So through this experience, personally for me, before this, I was an artist, a traveler. I experimented with different ways of reconnection, we can talk about, like plants, be connected with the Mother Earth, sweat lodges, different ways to explore the inner connection. But when the pranic consciousness, or the capacity to be without the necessities, comes to my life, I just decide to take that opportunity. And for me, it's been really beautiful to experience this state that allow me to recreate my cells, to recreate my DNA, to erase all the patterns of my genes that maybe my parents passed me, to unconsciously block my original way of development through the consciousness. Through this experience in the Brazilian state, through the meditation and through the capacity to the conscious breath, I've been discovering like an internal science. And this internal science made me understand how is that the breath works inside us. How is that the breath is like this conduit that we have permanently to live the universe through us, through every breath. So, I don't know, it's just a beautiful state. And it's what I can introduce from my part, but I wanted to allow to Camila that she can explain.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Camila. So this state that we're talking about, the pranic state, the breatharian state, is something that it's a state of no necessity. When you enter into like your highest state of being, your we could say your most connected state of being, or once you recognize that you are the all and the all is you, that we are one and it's all connected. So, there are many ways to reach this point, all of us have our own path and our own way of recognizing it. And just as ours has been similar in the way that we experience this 21-day process to, like Akahi said, erase a lot of the genetic information that was kind of unconsciously put into us, through our own births and time with our families and things like that. But for me personally also, a lot of this happened through the recognition that as I began to change my diet, it was like more of a physical transition that led me to recognize the non-physical state of being. So, and when I was young, I think about like 14 or so, I became a vegetarian. And that transition then later took me to be a vegan, and little by little as I began to take things out of my diet, my physical like sustenance or nourishment, what I felt at that time was that, I began to recognize that things that I thought were necessities really weren't, I was totally fine, if not better, without these things, and little by little, more and more things began to leave, necessities began to diminish, just fall away as I recognized that all of these things were really unnecessary, and actually I didn't depend on those things for my life or my sustenance. And so when we both chose to do this 21-day process, we were in a state where we actually lived without a lot of necessities. In terms of the diet, there were, I think at that point we were just in the raw food diet. And when the decision was made to realize this 21-day process, which is a lot of times referred to as a fast, a 21-day fast, just for those of you who maybe are not familiar with it. 7 days where you do a dry fast, physically, and then in the following 14 days you reintroduce liquids to your body. And that's what happens in the physical body, but in all of the rest of our bodies, the emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, it's a time of really intense purification, we can say, where, like I said before, the DNA and the genetic information is recreated. A lot of those things that we contained before are erased. And so coming out of that process, you have the opportunity to consciously recreate your being. So in the state that I live in now, all of my memories, my genetic makeup, all of the information that flows through my body, my mind, my emotions, are things that I have consciously chosen to have with me.